app game, baby.
I go hard in them paint. I go hard in them paint.
I'm ducked off where the loudest legal. Right next door to Cali where the work a lot cheaper. Take you back in the trap in the 86 Regal. With a pocket full of stones booming like it was legal.
We back here, man, with another video, Man Cave video, season 2, baby. It's your boy Suave.
Oh, and SPG.
And you know, whatever goes on in this Man Cave.
Oh, it's gonna stay right here in the Man Cave. You know what's up.
Oh yeah, man. So we had a great discussion on last episode on your channel. And for everybody to know, we flip-flop episodes on my channel and SPG channel. If you want to catch the next episode after this one, it's going to be on SP channel. The link is in the description. And also, if you want to play some World War Z on Stadia until they get crossplay or whatever, I got Discord. It's also in the description. So, man, where we left off at the last episode of Man Cave was out the lineup with Negan lined up everybody else, and he took out Glenn and Abraham. Oh my goodness, Abraham. Dude, I think he did Glenn dirty because he had to keep whacking him and his eyeball came out and stuff. Dude, but it was like one or two hits on Abraham and he was gone. It was gone.
Yeah, man. When he set them all up, he knew he had to take Abraham out. He's the only one that bucked up and chinned up to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew he had to take that man out. But I think, and I'll say it again, I think Daryl killed Glenn.
Yeah.
Because Negan does keep his word. And Negan said, now look, you can cry, you can scream, but there'll be nothing else. And then he got punched, so he killed Glenn.
Man, so
I think it's
check this out. We gotta go back. Let's go back a little bit, just a little bit. If I shout out to everybody out there in the chat, man, I appreciate you. Me and SPG love you guys, man. Thank you for the support.
Abraham had the best one-liners, man. He did.
Come again?
Abraham had the best one-liners, man. Dolphin smooth, like I don't know, man. Mother Dick. I love that guy, man. I love that guy. He was my favorite.
So what was that? I said we need to go back and talk about something. What was that?
What we did is we recapped really well, but we skipped over a major part with the governor, and that was Daryl's brother Merle. What happened to Merle? Because that was pretty significant.
So, me and SPG, we talked after the last episode, man, and we got to talk about Merle, man. That whole thing. So when Merle realized that, hey, he was going through this change, he was actually looking up to the governor, and you know, he was like, oh, he's my mentor type thing. Like no one has ever seen. I know Merle's brother Daryl never seen Merle like this ever.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when he felt like that something has to be done about the governor, he made a move. Yep. You know, what do you think about that strategy that Merle had, man? What do you think about that?
Merle, man, I think if Merle would have let his brother in on his plan, or Rick, I think his plan would have succeeded with flying colors. That man was kind of a genius. He set it all up. He took out almost all the governor's men. And yeah, he did get it in the end by the governor, but he almost took him out. If he'd have had one or two people with him, I think they would have been very successful. The sad part is Merle was having a real shift of character right before the end. Like he didn't like he kind of thought that his brother Daryl was under Rick's thumb a little bit, you know. But as he started to understand their relationship a little more, I kind of feel like he ran off to spare Rick and Daryl to go after the governor. Like he knew it was a one-way trip, I think. What a character, man. What an actor. I love him in the MCU too. Michael Rooker, I think his name is. Awesome actor, man. And man, for being a racist piece of crap, you kind of liked him at the end. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He had to
Like,
change the heart. He had to
yes,
change
he
the
did.
heart, man. He
Yes,
had
he
to change
did.
the heart.
But what did you think about all that?
I think that he was definitely a great strategist, man, in that whole plan. I think that his pride got the best of him. So he went out there alone. The plan was great. The plan was perfect. I don't think anyone in Rick's crew that was living could have came up with a plan like that. You know, because he almost
Matter of fact,
one-handed. He almost
I don't
one-handed
think
took that man out.
that's what I was going to say. I don't think anybody in Rick's group could be chained to the roof and lose a hand and make it as far as that man did.
Not at that point.
If I was Rick and I knew that man suffered and survived, man, I'd be like, man, let's get him on our side because that's a tough SOB.
The only thing, man, just we're just gonna tap on it. But yeah, I agree with you, man. So moving on, after the whole lineup, and Negan is like showing his balls, like, hey, I'm in charge around these parts. Like what you took out
on the he flopped him out on the ground with a thunderous thud, man.
Not only that, he took their leader and made him.
We've never seen
lapdog,
Rick.
Man.
Yeah, man. We've never seen Rick like that before. Nope. And here's where a shift happens in the show and in the
Rick.
Like Rick becomes passive because he almost loses Carl. He loses two people that were very close to him. That was like his almost third and fourth in command, kind of. And he's broken. He's literally broken. By the time Negan is done with him and brings him back to his group, he's a broken man.
Yep.
And then he almost forces him to take his son's hand anyway. Very, very powerful scene because we've been with Rick since the beginning, and he's a powerful leader, and he'll make some rash decisions sometimes, but we've just never seen him like that. And there was a shift in the show where Negan was in charge, and Rick and his crew had to service Negan whenever he came, and it turned people off. It turned a lot of people that were watching off. But that was definitely straight out of the comics, though. For about 6 or 8 comics, Rick is his lapdog and does whatever Negan says. But anyway, man, what did you think of that, man? Did you think Glenn got a raw deal? Do you think people were justified and stopped watching at that point?
I think that
the Rick snot bubble.
Yeah, man.
Rick was broken, man. I'm telling you.
He was, man.
He had a giant snot bubble coming out of one side of his nose.
Dude, Rick and that whole phase right there, Rick almost cracked. Like he almost cracked. If it wasn't for his people, Michonne, and talking to him and everybody talking to him like, hey, we can figure this out, because he had lost hope. Every time they'd come and talk to him, he had his head down. Like, we ain't got nothing to do. Just do what he say. Just do what he say.
Yep.
So moving on from that, man.
Now, Negan, let's talk about Negan for just a minute. Now, you know Negan's backstory. I know Negan's backstory. In your opinion, because I believe this. If we would have followed Negan's journey from the beginning, Negan would be our Rick. But instead, we followed Rick. And what I mean by that is in Negan's eyes, he was the hero. Yeah, he had to bash somebody's head in now and again, but he kept order and he kept things moving.
He just ruled differently.
Yes, he did.
Ruling differently.
Yes, he did. But I tell you, when they strolled into his compound and wiped out those people in the middle of the night, I was like, holy shit, man. I was scared of Rick's group, and they were they're our good guys,
I'm going to tell you this, though. I think that the whole thing with Negan and Rick had to happen because Rick crew was getting high and mighty. It was like they was up there to the level where, hey, I know we're the baddest out here, And I think
there's a saying, getting too big for your britches.
Yeah, they had to get humbled, man. They had to get humbled. They had to see that how evil human beings can be, so they wouldn't do that. That's what had to happen, man.
Yeah, and the Negan
go through that.
And the Negan thing goes on for a while. There's like a whole season at Alexandria. We get reintroduced to Morgan again. What did you think of Morgan's story in The Walking Dead? He kind of was in the beginning. He disappeared. They brought him back for the episode where he was crazy and trying to clear.
Yeah.
And then they brought him back to Alexandria. I like Morgan, but I think that storyline was a little bit wasted, just a little bit.
I think that they left some gaps because they didn't really. I mean, he lost his son. They didn't really say on how really he lost his son. We can just spectate that, you know, some kind of zombie attack and he, you know, got ate up by zombies. We know that his wife was turned into a zombie because we saw her, you know. But I guess what the director and producer was trying to portray is there's going to be human beings that go through things like this, and sometimes you're going to end up like this, you know, because when he was clearing, you know, he was going through that clear phase.
I wouldn't want to stroll into that town. No, I would not.
He had that town on lock. Like there was no way.
He had full body armor, and anybody that strolled through there that didn't leave, he'd kill and take their gear. Yep. So he had a whole arsenal in there, and he cleared out that jail that was down the road that
by himself.
Yeah,
by himself.
He was a badass. But what I mean, I think by in my opinion, they wasted his storyline a little bit. I think they did the back and forth with him a little too much. I'm a killer. No, I don't want to kill. I'm a killer. No, I don't. You know, that kind of thing. But when he got the stick, I really liked him getting trained with the stick.
I did too, because it showed that
it was interesting.
I think that had to happen because that character, he was going on a heartless assassin. You know, I don't care about humans. I don't care about Walking Dead. Anything come my way, I'm just gonna destroy. You know.
Well, when he was all sick in his head, he looked at Rick and he said, "You're wearing dead people's faces."
Yeah.
And when he said that, people were like, "Oh, the whispers!" They were speculating the whispers were coming in, but they weren't there yet. But very, very cool, man. That shit goes by. What did you think of the conclusion of the Negan stuff? And we're gonna get to one of your favorite characters' death too here in a second.
Hold on, I did want to say this about Morgan. Morgan, man, the whole him meeting that guy with the stick. I think
forget that guy's name now. I forget his name.
I cannot remember. I hate that he died also. Man.
Yes.
You know, I hate that he died also because he was a good mentor to Morgan. You know.
Now, The Walking Dead has a real good way of introducing you to a character that you may even love or you may love to hate, but then when they're taken from you, you feel a loss, you know. Walking Dead is really good at that. One of the losses within Alexandria when they were there was that young black guy who was going to become the engineer of the place or whatever in Alexandria, and he got tore. They ate his face and tore him apart in that sliding door.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They were going into a building for something. And
I remember now. The
Glenn fiasco. You know, the guy who they did the Glenn dumpster thing, the guy who killed himself on the dumpster, that guy, he's told, you know, hey, settle down. You know, we're going to get through this. And the guy freaks out, runs through the door. Yeah. And the slider opens up and they tear that one guy apart. That was probably the most brutal death on The Walking Dead, I think.
Bro, that was one of them. I mean, he panicked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't believe that. I mean, when you don't know someone, when you don't know someone and you everyone hates Chris after that is him.
Yes.
So
they tore him apart, man. They used awesome prosthetics. They made it look super real and gory. But can you imagine being on the other side and watching your friend get tore apart like that? Like, you can't do nothing about it. I mean, that's rough, man. And piggybacking off of this, before we get to Sasha, what did you think of the Glenn debacle? Right before they killed Glenn, they faked his death. What did you think about that? I thought that was the cheapest shit on the planet, bro.
That was horrible, man. They could have did that better. You know what I'm saying? Just like, before we get into Sasha, what about Sasha's brother, man? The way he died, you know, they could have did that better. Like he was like a strong soldier,
Yes.
a good humble
They went to
person. Like he had a
went to
hammer. Like he didn't even, a hammer is like, well, I'm protecting, but it don't really mean any harm. He had like a house hammer, man.
yeah,
You
he
know
had
what
like
I'm
a
saying?
claw hammer. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So
Um,
he died of a fever, because
well,
they
he
didn't
was
have a doctor at that time to
he
really,
got he
treat
got
his
bit.
wounds and stuff.
He got bit and they removed a limb and
Hmm.
they didn't get him help quick enough.
Right.
What did you think of his death scene though? Now
I think
how he
that was
died was
cheap.
weak. I agree that how he died was cheap, but I did like his ending, meaning like what was happening in his head. He was hearing
Hmm.
the radio playing and he was hearing that, like regular people were attacking people.
Hmm.
And that was Rick's voice on the radio too. His UK voice, not his American voice. But
Oh,
yeah,
really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
yeah. Rick was doing that broadcast on the radio, but I liked the symbolism and the stuff in his death.
Hmm.
But I thought his death was cheap though. Definitely, he
Yeah,
should have went
they
out.
could have, out of
He
all the
should have went out
stuff,
fighting.
out of all the ways that people done died in The Walking Dead, that was like, come on now, man. Y'all could have picked a better
Yeah.
way. You know what I'm saying? Let them go out in the flames of glory, just, trying to keep people safe. Because that was the type of his character.
Yeah.
That's how his character was portrayed. You
Yeah.
know? So moving on, we see that Sasha is hurt from Abraham
Hmm.
and then she goes out and develop a plan to get at Negan and almost succeed.
Yes, she does
Almost
almost succeed.
succeed.
Real quick, I want to bring up one more element before we go to Sasha.
Go
What
for
did you
it.
think of what did you think of the garbage people at the time when they introduced that group?
Man, I think they were kind of like Terminus, kind of cannibal like people. You know what I'm
It gave
saying?
you that vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Cause I'm like,
I,
they didn't want to like really be involved with society, you know what I'm
that
saying?
that
And
was my problem with them. Like, okay, I can understand 15 to 30 years after there's no school and after there's no stop signs and lights going and you may not know what an ATM is anymore, somebody that was born or whatever. But for them to be 2 or 3 years in the apocalypse and they all have a totally different language that's all broken English, it didn't make sense to me. I was
yeah,
like, they're fucking acting. Why are they acting? Why are they're
I
all
think
playing into a delusion? And sure enough, later in the story, they explain they were. If you
yeah.
watch World Beyond, which is another Walking Dead spinoff, the main chick from the junkyard, I forget her name, Jadis, she appears in World Beyond.
Mm.
And somebody asks her, "Hey, what have you been up to? What have you been through?" And she says, "Well, I ran a community for a while, and we all pretended, and then it all fell apart." So, like she explains that it was a ruse, it was bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
which made me happy because I never understood those people and how they would have a different language, and it's just been 2 years. Like I remember paying my bills 2 years ago. There's no way I'm talking like that. You know what I'm saying? There's no way, dude. No way. But
Hey.
but anyway, the garbage people, they work out a truce or whatever with Negan,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes Sasha, and Sasha makes the deal with him. Fill us in. Tell us about that.
So I want to, well, not related to the deal. That's not what I wanted to talk about. But if you want to speak on that, go for it.
Oh, just Sasha gets captured, and Negan thinks that she's got beach ball sized lady nuts.
Oh
And
yeah. So
go ahead.
let me tell you on that right there, man. I think that she almost succeeded just like Merle. But I think that once again, then she actually had a little bit more help. It wasn't her by herself. She had a little bit more help.
Yeah.
But things went crazy. What was that? Daryl did end up getting out, but then she got captured, and she ran into Rapey Dave.
Yeah, Dave tried to rape her, and Negan was like, "We ain't doing that around here."
Hey, now that's what I'm talking about with Negan. He makes a point He told him, he said, I know you wasn't trying to rape this woman right here. You know, and he trying to rapey Dave trying to explain like, no, now that's not allowed here.
Right.
He already had his knife out. It was explained. He just stabbed him. You know what I'm saying? He stabbed him, and then that was the end of rapey Dave.
What are your feelings on Eugene at this time?
So I always thought Eugene was a coward throughout the whole scene. Every time you put him in there, even all the way to the end, you know what I'm saying? He's just been a coward in my eyes. He's one of those characters that he hide behind people. He knows he's very intelligent, so he used his intelligence to help other people protect him. You know, like, hey, I know I can do this because, and he ramble and ramble in with different words, and you're like, why are you saying it like that? Like, you can just say this is aspirin. You know what I'm saying? But he tongue twisting.
He talks like he's got a touch of autism or something, you know,
exactly,
to him, or Asperger's or something.
I didn't know Rick had a different voice. Yeah,
he does. He's from the UK, and he's got a thick accent. But when he's Rick, he doesn't. He's actually got a little Southern draw, and he's just an amazing actor. But I thought Eugene was a scaredy prick, and I thought he turned on the group, and he was helping Negan, and he was down for Team Negan. That's what I thought at the time.
Man, let me tell you. Look, now I want to exploit this. So, you know, when Sasha, that part, all right, so after Negan killed Rapey Dave, he gave Sasha the knife, and he made Sasha make a choice. Look, what is your decision? You either take that knife, try to kill me, and then you be unsuccessful because I'm standing over you with a bat,
right?
Or you take that knife and take out Rapey Dave right there before you turn, or you take that knife and do yourself in. You know, that was pretty much what he had gave her to decide on. Of course, she took out Rapey Dave, and I'm only saying Rapey Dave because that's what Negan called him, Rapey Dave.
Well, you know what Negan's plan was, don't you? He was going to
he was going to use her as leverage.
Yes, she was going to step out of the casket and say, "I'm with him now."
Yeah,
that's what he wanted, into shock Rick, and instead,
leverage.
A zombie stepped out that casket.
But look, before we get to that,
almost ate his ass.
But before we get to that, let's talk about Sasha playing on what's guy name? Eugene. So she's asking Eugene, pretending to be weak, crying and everything, that, you know, asking for something
and
to pretty much take her life. And Sasha was not expecting that man to come with a poison pill and put it under the door. She was thinking like a razor blade, a knife, or something, you know, and she was going to use that weapon to take out Negan, you know what I'm saying? When she had the opportunity. But he was like, nah, this should get the job done. And when they showed the camera what he slid on the door, dude, the look on Sasha's face was, I cannot believe this guy brought me a poison pill.
Well, I can't believe her plan almost worked, man. She did. She almost got Negan, man.
Yeah. Even after death, she almost got him. You know?
Yeah, and then that big finale right there at that thing is like the turning point where Rick got he just had enough, and he's like, nope, we're taking care of Negan, we're fighting, we're gonna all group together. And Hilltop showed up to help.
The tiger showed up.
The king and the kingdom, they showed up with the damn tiger. And Negan
Negan wasn't expecting that tiger, bro. He was not expecting that tiger.
He wasn't. And it's so funny when you see his reaction when he sees that what's her name is still alive. He goes, "Oh shit, it's the widow, guns a blazing."
Yep. No, when he saw that tiger, he said, "Hot damn."
Yeah, that tiger is no joke, man.
Dude, he saw that tiger maul somebody to death, and he was like, "Hot damn, they got a freaking tiger." But it's crazy, man.
So they don't win. Negan runs off. Whatever, man.
Right.
The story continues. But the next big thing we come to, man, is another spot in the series that made a lot of people stop watching, man. Made a lot of people. And that is Carl's death. Carl Grimes. Now, if you read the comics, Carl Grimes lives to be a very old man. And it's basically Carl Grimes telling the story of the Walking Dead and the things that his dad did at the end of the comic. And in the show, they killed him off. They took Carl out. Now, I went from hating Carl to liking Carl when Negan started to help him, you know what I mean? And like started to try to mold him or shape him a little bit. I started to really like Carl. Then he lost an eye, and I was thinking, man, this dude's going to be a badass if he lives long enough to become an adult. And sure enough, he didn't. But it was a big divergence from the comic, and it angered a whole lot of fans. Mr. Bayram, if you're still in here, what did you think of his death? Because it did rub a lot of people the wrong way.
I think that it needed to happen. You know, I think that
get rid of Carl.
Yeah, because the way they did it in the show, I don't like shows that spin off from like a movie or a comic. I don't like it to be the same too much. I like things to be different, because then you can say, you know,
now you know what's coming.
Exactly.
You know?
See, if you know what's coming, then it's like, oh man, I already seen this. I'm not gonna waste my time seeing it. You know what I'm saying? But
and Carl, in my opinion, Carl got a weak ass death as well. Go ahead.
You said Carl? Yeah. See,
Carl had a weak.
Paul said he was salty over Carl's death, man.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I think Carl had it coming in this way. it should have came this way because
Dale killed. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Carl was responsible for what's his name? Not Herschel, but what's the other guy that the zombie got away and he killed him, tore his stomach up?
Yep, Dale. Yeah.
He was responsible for Dale death. And then he acting like, when Shane and his dad was in the scene together, he was going against his dad on some things, being disobedient, going out, walking off. Like,
he killed that
this
kid.
child this kid need a whooping. He need a punish. You need to be put on punishment. That's what you need. You know what I'm saying?
I think they kind of ruined Carl's character a little bit throughout the seasons because they made you hate him, you know. But I was salty when he was taken away because there was a lot of storyline left. I was excited for his character to get to. You know, Negan is certainly charismatic. You got to give that to the man. And Carl literally impacted Negan in a powerful way.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He really did. Let's see. I was salty about Carl's death. The actor even bought a house in the area and picked. Oh, yes, that's right. He picked a college and everything. They were expecting 3 or 4 more seasons at least. And then he was sat down and fired. As a matter of fact, he was let go. Yeah. And this is supposedly one of the main reasons why Rick left the show coming up here in a little bit was because of Carl's death.
Yeah, man. So Negan, you spoke on Negan and Carl, you know, that relationship. It was crazy because you got to see a human side of Negan. You know, if he didn't care about anything else in the world at that time, he learned to care about Carl. It was all those talks that he had with him. Like, you know, he'll bring him in, he'll talk to him and everything. And it was that point right there. You was like, oh man, Negan is not all evil. He has some human sides to him that makes him, you know, lovable as a lovable character. Like you have some kind of love for him, you know?
Yep. I love it whenever he's on screen and he's talking. And when Rick and him would square up on screen, I loved it, man. Like when they were running around that house on fire with the bat, and Rick catches the bat on fire. But Rick kind of loses his mind a little bit when Carl dies. I think Carl died cheap, but he wrote this letter, and he wrote a letter to Negan. He writes a letter to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
see, I think that part was important.
Oh, it was. It was very.
You know, that part was very important. And just FYI to my boy G Beezy, we're not talking about Bruno. I know that's who you want to talk about. We're not talking about Bruno. So it was we getting wrapped up. This is about the end, man.
No, we're gonna have everybody to know that
there's gonna be another part 3. There's gonna be a part 3 of this, and maybe a part 4. But this is great conversation. I want everyone to know that SPG's channel is in the description, and the next episode is going to be on his channel. Also, check out the Discord for World War Z. If you want to link up with me, I got a whole community of people ready to play with you. So that link is in the description as well. We're gonna do. I think we're gonna skip a week and then come back in the next month to do episode
5.
5, 6.
Yep, 5 and 6.
5 and 6. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Until next time, peace.
The app game, baby.
I go hard in the paint. I go hard in the paint.
I'm ducked off where the loud is legal. Right next door to Cali where the work a lot cheaper. Take you back in the trap in the 86 Regal. With a pocket full of stones booming like it was legal.